So my husband just tested positive and I'm a little freaked out because I'm on my way to the doctor now to go get my test. And now I'm kind of thinking like everybody I pass, I just feel so guilty, like I need to hold my breath or something. I have a million things running through my head right now, but all I can think is that at least I am happy and I am healthy, and we will see what the test results show. And I guess it's just planning for 14-day quarantine now, so figuring out what to do with a 2-year-old in a tiny apartment for 14 days. My goodness. So we're not even at 24 hours later, but I had a really rough night last night and I thought that everything was good and fine and that maybe I just would get positive and wouldn't get any symptoms, but I had some tough times trying to breathe. Not anything like hospital worthy, but it was difficult getting to sleep. I decided to go to bed at 8 p.m. and I don't think I ended up falling asleep until 2 a.m. And it was really hard to explain because my body wasn't aching and I wasn't sweating, but I felt like chills the whole time. And then today I'm just trying to relax as much as I can with a 2-year-old at home, but my chest is really, really heavy and it doesn't hurt, but it's just a little bit like uncomfortable the whole day. But it's hard to relax with a toddler. We'll see how this 14-day quarantine goes and hope that everything gets better. So I'm recording this weeks later. So basically I opened up my Warn app, which many of you should already have if you're here living in Germany or anywhere that offers this app. But I opened that up and of course it showed right away that I was immediate risk, that I need to go home right away and possibly get tested. I already knew this because it was my husband. So I did go and get the test. I did have symptoms. It was quite obvious to me that I was also going to test positive. So after that appointment, I received this piece of paper, which I could then go ahead and scan a code down here that would give me more information about my results. So I waited a few days, I checked the app, I scanned the barcode there, and I ended up testing negative. I'm not sure how that happened, to be honest. I'm assuming that it was a false negative or that perhaps my symptoms and the virus in my body wasn't strong enough at that point in time. It did last a few days with having a little bit of an issue breathing and having some chills, but it never really got stronger than that, and then it kind of subsided. And then right before we were about to be released, this happened.
I kid you not. My quarantine is done tomorrow. And now I'm sick. Go figure.
It is officially the end of my quarantine and I am sweating like a dog. So I'm gonna go get tested this afternoon and then back in quarantine until the results. So let's just hope it's a normal flu, but I'm not very hopeful.
Just a little post update for you all. I did end up testing positive. I actually went and got tested at a drive-through center at about 3 p.m. that day. And then at 4:30 the next morning, they had already gotten the results back. So the Gesundheitsamt, the health ministry, ended up giving me a call around 10:30 in the morning and told me that I was indeed positive. So now I'll just show you a couple of my updates that I tried to give you while I wasn't feeling well, but I did really lack on getting any footage for you guys because I was just feeling like garbage.
I have, in all honesty, entirely lost track of the days now. I have been battling with this
sickness for quite a long time, and I'm thankful every day that it's not gotten worse. But at the same time, I'm just so frustrated that it's not really gotten much better. I think I got through the thick of it, but now I just feel like every day I'm just so empty and I don't have any energy, and I constantly got this mild fever and this mild headache and all these mild symptoms. But when it's day after day after day, and it's now coming on to my 4th week of not being able to leave the house, it gets really frustrating. So I'm just trying to stay positive now. We only have a few more days left of quarantining, and I just really hope that if all goes well, we can leave the house. Yeah. Toy, no? We are 2 days out of being out of our quarantine, and I decided I've been feeling pretty down in the dumps. So today I was like, you know what? I'm gonna straighten my hair and put on makeup so that I feel a little bit better about myself. But I definitely need some sunlight. There's no doubt about it. And I think throughout this quarantine process, I think not just myself, but a lot of people who are going through the same situation will definitely appreciate the nature more. I mean, I always did, and I'm a big fan of hiking and being out in the nature, but I'm really, really looking forward to moving at some point and having a garden and being able to just have my freedom and go out and get some fresh air whenever need be, because I feel like I'm starting to lose my sanity here. I'm feeling much better. I still have symptoms, but these symptoms, like this not being able to smell or taste, I have read up, and apparently it can last a couple of months until this stuff goes away. So I'm just trying to stay positive and do my thing. Today is the day I feel like it's my first day of school. I'm like so jittery and so excited, and I got showered and ready, and I just can't wait. Today I get to leave the house. Finally. So I basically created this video. I had a few people mention, hey, listen, can you put a video together like this to let us know exactly how the process works here in Germany? What happens when you do have to go in quarantine? And what are the types of things that you can expect throughout the process? So basically, when my husband first tested positive, he received a call right away from the Gesundheitsamt, which is the health ministry here in Düsseldorf. And they basically went through the entire process with him, letting him know that you can't leave the house for 10 days because he had tested positive, and that they wanted to speak to me in order to give me all the information I needed as somebody who was living in the same household as him. They let me know, you keep your distance, you're in quarantine for 14 days, as well as your son, and that we would be receiving an official letter from the Gesundheitsamt in the city here letting us know when our official end of quarantine would be. So I got that information right here, and then down here at the bottom, you can see that it says when my date of beginning was and when the date of end was, that I could actually leave the house. Of course, that did not happen. I ended up having to go get tested on the actual day that I was allowed to leave the house. Thankfully, the symptoms had started earlier on with a slight tickle in the throat, and then over the weekend it had progressed to having a fever pretty much every day, and coughing and being exhausted, not being able to taste and smell, having a slight infection in my ears. Basically, the entire list is what I ended up getting 2 weeks later after my initial symptoms. So I'm not a doctor, and I'm not really sure how that happened or why that happened or why I felt great for the next couple weeks and then caught it again. But I did end up then again receiving my second letter, which told me that I was officially allowed to leave the house on November 17th. So now I am 2 days out of quarantine. I am playing it very safe. I'm making sure that I'm wearing my mask all the time. And I think everything's just so up in the air and everybody's just so unsure. And for me, to be honest, being able to leave the house has been such a liberating experience, as you saw. But one of the hardest things right now is being treated differently and being treated like I'm some sort of plague. Because there are so many people and so many friends that I was so excited to see and so excited to catch up with, but I'm hesitant to see them and they're hesitant to see me. And nobody knows anything, so it's really kind of sad to be out and to be able to experience this sort of freedom, but my whole family's back in Canada and I don't want to be a risk to my friends. And as much as I'd love to go out and hike with all of them, there's also rules put in place and there's also serious lockdown measures here in the city of Düsseldorf and in our state, North Rhine-Westphalia. So basically, a lot of people asked if I needed to get tested again at the end. I asked the Gesundheitsamt if this was something that I was going to need to do. They asked me not to. I think that it's just really difficult for them. They are working around the clock and I know that they are absolutely overloaded with tests of people who are possibly testing positive. And while I did not need to get tested after my quarantine was over, what does happen is the Gesundheitsamt will call you. They had also called me, as they did my husband when I first tested positive. And then they actually call you 1 or 2 days before you're about to be released. And they ask you, are you experiencing any symptoms like coughing or a stuffy nose or a fever? You answer that honestly. I sat there, I said, I don't have symptoms anymore, but what I do have is that I still can't smell and I still can't taste. They said, don't worry, this could last for a little. Just basically hold out, but this does not mean that you are contagious anymore. So you are officially allowed to leave the house. And that call was just like the best phone call of the year for me, I swear. At the moment, I feel really good. I feel a lot better, to be honest. Getting outdoors and outside and being able to get some fresh air gave me some of my sanity back. I think allowed me to stop thinking about, oh, do I feel this, or do I still have a sore throat, or do I still have chills or whatever, and allowed me to really think properly and probably more realistically than I was while I was being stuck here in quarantine. I don't even know what to do with my life when I go outside. I just kind of like walk and walk and walk and walk and walk until I'm exhausted, because this feeling of being free is just something that I guess I never knew I would lose and then get back again. So I am healthy now. I really just wanted to share this video so that you understood the process of what happens. If you have any questions at all, let me know. It might be different in your state, but I thought as an English speaker here living in Germany, I could probably help a lot of people who don't speak German and who aren't able to relate to other people here living in Germany, because perhaps you don't know that many people. I wanted to offer my support and be basically a support system for you in case you have any questions or need any support or anything. I did manage to get through it by ordering groceries online. Thankfully, we have so many different options here in Germany, so it was very, very easy. Keeping my son busy, I was able to also order some toys online and different craft projects that we were then able to keep busy with. So I would say don't stress and don't worry about not being able to get what you need while you're in quarantine. It was definitely possible and it was very, very easy. I just hope for all of you that you stay happy and you stay healthy, and that if for some reason you do happen to have the same situation as I, that you can power through and hopefully it will just be a mild case. That is all for me today, guys. Vielen, vielen lieben Dank und wie immer, bis später.